I'd like to start to thank you all of you for coming because I understand it's a bit tough. Second day, it's almost evening, and almost all of you, I guess, tired. So thanks for coming, first of all. My name is Inal Kardanov. I'm a developer advocate at Waves and head of Waves platform. But you may wonder where is Sasha Ivanov because you might see Sasha Ivanov as a speaker also. But unfortunately, for some personal reasons, Sasha was not able to come. So today, only I will talk about these interesting stuffs like Riot NFT smart contracts. So we will try today to reduce the barriers to implement blockchain, to add blockchain to your product. So I just want to ask you how many developers are here. Please raise your hand if you are a developer and you have some development experience. Great. How many entrepreneurs are here? Okay, great. So I'll try to balance tech and non-tech things, to be honest. I'll try to talk about both things. I'm not going to go too deep because it's almost evening and I know all of you want a beer and to sleep. So I'll talk like about tech and non-tech, and if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to raise your hand right during the presentation and to ask. I want to be this presentation as interactive as it's even possible, so feel free to raise your hand and to throw your question. I just want to say a couple words about Waves. Have you ever heard about Waves? Please raise your hand if you have heard about Waves before. Okay, so if you have never heard about Waves, Waves is a public blockchain. Actually, not only public blockchain, but today I'm going to talk about public blockchain. Right now, we have more than 400 nodes all over the globe, and the chain was launched in 2016, so we are a pretty mature project. Comparing with other blockchains. In terms of numbers, we have very, very good traction. Like there are more than 100 million accounts, addresses in the blockchain. We have more than 100K transactions per day, more than 100 projects with different level of traction, lots of developers, and also we are one of the most interesting projects for developers, I guess, because we are on the second place. Here is a link to the report right after the maker. So we are still growing, despite that the project was funded in 2016. So we're still growing. And we have many projects in our ecosystem. To be honest, I'm not going to talk about all of these projects. I just want to say that there are like in projects in gaming, there are data providers, lots of them. As you can see, there are many logos. We have lots of things about trading because Waves launched one of the first DEXs in the wild in 2017. So we have lots of things about trading and wallets. We have payment networks, fiat gateways, liquidity relays, and so on and so forth. So there are many things in the Waves ecosystem. I'm not going to talk about all this stuff, but I am going to talk about this. In the Waves ecosystem, we have you ever heard about Web3 stack? Web3 stack, have you ever heard about it? Great, there are 5 layers of Web3 stack. So we have products on each layer, starting from Waves NG. It's a protocol. Have you ever heard about Bitcoin NG? Please raise your hand if you have ever heard about Bitcoin NG. Nice. There was a paper in 2015 about Bitcoin, how to make it faster, but they didn't implement it in the Bitcoin network. We did, so we have pretty fast blockchain. Also, we have like staking. We have our own DEX, as I already said. We have many projects on a second layer, and we have like Waves Keeper. It's kind of MetaMask. We have Waves Signer. It's absolutely new product which allows you to work with keys. It's incredible how to work with it. I'm not going to talk about it too much during the presentation, but I highly recommend you to Google it at least, because this is a new way how you can interact with the keys. Yeah. It's incredible is that it is non-custodial, but at the same time you should not install any extensions and so on. It just shows you a model pop up. You just say, okay, sign this message, and it works. It stores all your keys on a local storage of one website on Waves Exchange, and it works pretty amazing. Like, you do not share your keys with anybody else, and you should not install browser extension. That's killer thing about this. And I will talk about tools a lot today, so let's just skim through it. Well, for now, Waves is a global chain, pretty secure because there are no security breaches, for example, during these almost 4 years. It is stable, and I will talk about the support and funding for different projects too. Well, uh, now I will talk mostly about technology. But before I start about technology, I want to say one thing. I was a team captain at Odyssey 2019. And today I'm going to share some my experience with it, to be honest. My main goal today is to share what I can give you guys as a team captain in the last year, because it was a pretty amazing experience. We had a great team, like 6 of us, and we were working on TVM track. In the last year, there also was a TVM track. So please raise your hand if you were on Odyssey 2019. Oh, lots of people. So we were on TVM track, and the track was pretty interesting. It was about cargo insurance. This year, TVM also have the challenge, and to be honest, their challenge this year is pretty same. Like, you can do almost the same if you want to, of course. And we didn't win in the last year. We were third on our track. By the way, there was another team using Waves technology, and they won their track, but we didn't win. I as team captain, I was not so good team captain maybe, so we didn't win. But we learned a lot. So that's my goal today, to share with you all the building blocks you can use during Odyssey 2020. So let's go. The first thing I'd like to share with you, Odyssey is not about blockchain, AI, or any other tech. That's the first thing you have to know if you are new for Odyssey. It is not about technology at all. Guys who have been at Odyssey before, do you agree with me or not? If you do, say something. Yes, no, or boo, or something like that. Please give me a feedback. I definitely need it while I talk. I need some kind of feedback. Do you? Yeah. It's a hackathon, but I believe you can win Odyssey without a tech part at all, with very good presentation and pitch. I believe so.
I just had a talk with a tech guy just now, just a minute and he confirmed that.
Okay, so you can win without tech at all. I do not recommend you to do that, because at some point you can, I don't know, make a great presentation and then you can face with technical issues you won't be able to solve. That's possible, so I highly recommend you to do some tech stuff. But the first thing you have to know about Odyssey is that it is not about blockchain, AI, or any other kind of technologies. Odyssey is about solving real world and global scale problems. Odyssey is about problems, not about solutions and not about tools. And it's also about building ecosystems. For example, in the last year, our TVM track, this was like a description of the business process, how cargo goes from the sender to a recipient, and how the document flow, let's call it so. As you can see, the process is pretty complicated. And there are many parties. There are carriers, senders, suppliers, receivers, insurer, and customs, and so on and so forth. So many parties, and the main challenge was to build an ecosystem to help all these guys to thrive together. That was the main idea of the last year. So I guess this year it should be pretty the same. You will have to build an ecosystem, not only for TVM, for almost all other tracks. You have to build an ecosystem to help all these parties. And for this challenge, blockchain was not a solution. It was just a tool. And I truly believe that for this year, for 2020, it will be the same. Blockchain is not a solution. This is just only a tool. And to be honest, this is our kind of mantra in Waves. But we build a blockchain, but we do not sell it as a solution. This is just a tool, and you have to apply this tool to your problem, and you have to do it like in a smart way, not just like we add blockchain, it automatically becomes better. No. So it should be, in our mind, blockchain should be simple and convenient to implement. That's the first thing. And that's why we prepared some demos and libraries for you. And I will show how easily you can work with blockchains. But before we go to the real code, let me talk a bit more about the track. I just want to explain what was the track in the last year about. It was about cargo insurance, because there are many cases where somebody wants to send something. In this case, we want to send a car from one country to another, and if everything is okay, we can take the car, we deliver it, we cross the border between two countries, everything is okay. But sometimes the car can just disappear. Somebody just can steal this car. Sometimes car can get damaged. Sometimes car can get late. There are many different options what can happen on the way. So you have to do something with it. We had to handle it somehow. So we decided that, okay, if we know the details about any shipment, we can like store it on the blockchain, and then we can do analytics on top of it. We can try to evaluate what's the probability of damage, what's the probability of delay, depending on different characteristics of the carrier, of the supplier, of weather, and so on and so forth. So we decided that we have to store data on the blockchain about all the shipments. So that's the first thing, I guess, you face with almost all of the challenges during the Odyssey. You have to store data somewhere, right? Do you think so? Are you sleeping, guys? Looks like no, at least you laugh. But okay, so that's the first thing you have to do. You have to store data, right? For storing data, we have key value storages for every account in Waves blockchain. And you can store different types of data like strings, booleans, byte arrays, or integers. And I will show you how. The easiest way how you can store data on a blockchain. I truly believe that you've never seen anything so easy. I mean, in terms of blockchain. For example, we have a Python library called PyWaves. The authors of PyWaves library are also here in this room, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We have a Python library. You just import this library. Then you can say, okay, this is my account. I want to store in the key value of this account. I just set the private key of it. Then you just say, okay, I want to store string value. Key is an Odyssey Connect. Value is hello Odyssey. It's like a key value storage for every account. So I want to store this value by this key. Pretty simple, right? And then I just do this. I'm done. I've stored a key value pair in the blockchain. That's the only thing I have to do, actually. I will pay fee for it, but the library will calculate all this stuff under the hood. I should not care about it. So that's the first thing you usually face with when you want to store data, and this is pretty simple, right? To be honest, like 4 meaningful lines of code. Okay? Yeah. If we want to store any kind of data, in our case, it was storing data about shipments. We wanted to store. Yeah. I could show the code, actual code, how we can store about shipments, but it just like shorter. So, yeah, that's it. Actually, we stored some data on the blockchain. Okay. Then we decided that we store data about shipments. What we also should do? We also should show on the map where is the shipment right now. And we had an integration with IoT devices, which could show where is an item. It could send its GPS coordinates to the backend. So we had to store lots of different points on the map, right, to build this track. And we decided that, okay, we have to store all this stuff. How we can do that? We have to store large amounts of data sometimes. But blockchain is actually bad in terms of lots of data. You cannot store lots of data on the blockchain, usually, especially on public blockchains. And you can store data in the clouds, and check its consistency and validity on the blockchain. That's a solution, right? Does it make sense? Great. How to do that? For example, we have a library which allows you to integrate with Azure Iot Hub, not only with Iot Hub, but with Azure itself. Have you ever heard about Azure Iot Hub? I'm talking about Azure Iot Hub because we used it in the last year in our challenge. So I will show, for example, how to use Azure Iot Hub. It allows you to store all the metrics from your IoT device in the cloud. That's the easiest explanation. Just send an event from a measurement from your IoT device to the cloud. That's it, nothing else. So we can do that very easily. Like, let me show you. For example, we have Waves wrapper. It's again this very simple Python library. We import this library. Then I just defined, for example, this data comes from our sensor, from our IoT device. Then, oh, sorry, it was, yeah, it's just like boilerplate, what kind of data we can store on the blockchain. We set some configuration parameters for IoT Hub, like keys. I'm not going to show my keys. We store plain data in the cloud on Azure Iot Hub. And we store the Merkle tree of all those data, the Merkle proof, on the blockchain. That's it. Did you understand why I did this? Can somebody explain what was the reason to do that? I see only one person who is understanding what's going on. To make some kind of document immutable, yes, that's true. Our main goal is to store lots of data, right? We have to store lots of data and to check that everything is going well. That nobody deleted some, for example, measurements about temperature which went too high. For example, we have a shipment and we want to deliver, I don't know, apples from the Netherlands to Moscow. We want to do that. But we have an agreement with our insurance company that if temperature goes higher than, I don't know, 50 degrees Celsius, then the insurance company have to pay, right? Then something went wrong. And at some point, carriers may say, well, it went higher than 50 degrees, but we want to delete all those metrics and we want to say everything was okay. And without blockchain, those companies will be able to cheat on insurance company. But with the blockchain, we can make sure that we put all the data in the cloud and proof on the blockchain. Yeah. From temperature meter to blockchain. What do you mean about by it? Yeah. Why? Our main reason to use a blockchain is to validate. So every time when well, for example, we have temperature measurements for 10 minutes. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, that might happen, of course. The temperature meter, it can be wrong, of course. But it can be wrong at one point. It would be wrong always, right? So we will see that it is always higher than it should be. So we will see that. So we will see that kind of problems. Did you guys understand what's going on with it? Okay. Just like to wrap up, we have some sensors. We stored plain data on the cloud in Azure. We stored Merkle proof and statuses on the blockchain. And that's it. It allows us to check the validity of the data, of the measurements. Oh. And then we have, for example, users. They may want to go to check that everything was okay with our apples or something like that. They make a request to the cloud. They get some metrics, measurements, and then validate it on the blockchain. Do you understand why we use the blockchain in this case? Okay, so my main idea here was to show you that storing data on the blockchain and checking its validity is pretty simple. Really, it's very simple, and you can do it in like 10 lines of code. And integration with the cloud gives you very, very interesting features, like very easily integration with AI or machine learning, call it as you want. For example, in our case, we try to predict the different types of risks. For example, if you want to deliver apples from the Netherlands to Moscow, then we can try, if we have enough data, of course, we can predict the risk of I do not see from here. Different types of risks we can predict for different carriers, depending on the weather, depending on the roads condition, and so on and so forth. So we integrated with the cloud. All the data we had in the cloud and cloud AI ML models allowed us to make it really fast during the hackathon. And also we were able to calculate different types of statistics for all the drivers. It's like a benefit also. And on the blockchain, we were able to write a smart contract, which allowed us to check the Merkle proof. We had a Merkle root in the blockchain, in the key value storage. We were able to check that we see all the data in the cloud. So nobody was able to remove measurements from the cloud, for example. Okay, now relax, breathe deeply, and we'll move to the next part, to the next lesson I have learned from Odyssey 2019. The next part is that a token ecosystem is more than a blockchain or coins. Can you agree with it? What do you think about tokenization and token ecosystems? Can anybody say that he or she believes in token ecosystems? Please raise your hands. Oh, well, four hands. All other guys, why don't you believe in tokenization and token ecosystems? Can anybody say his opinion?
Well, the tokenization is always needs to have some legal aspect related to that. That's one thing.
Yeah.
And another fact about having tokens in economics is basically economics or ecosystem, the whole ecosystem behind that, and building a working one, well, it's an extra complicated topic.
So 2 points. The first point is that we need the legal aspects of it, and the second is that we need not only tokens, but we actually need economics to make the whole system working, right? Okay. To be honest, that I took this 2 sentences from the Odyssey website, actually, that once launched, a token ecosystem can be self-regulating organization. So it states that we can skip all these legal things if we have enough rules on the blockchain. Do you believe in it?
Me personally, no.
You personally, no. Okay. Any other opinions? Okay. Some people believe in it. Another thing is that all coordination is literally encoded in the protocol. So a token is a kind of organization. Can you agree with it? No? Yes?
There is one movement in that topic that trying to apply us with that, and maybe it will work. I cannot be 100% sure.
Any other opinions? Have you ever seen like working tokenization ecosystems, successful tokenization ecosystems? Have you ever seen that before? MakerDAO, great. Why not? So there are really real-world examples of working token ecosystems. Why don't you believe in it? That's the main question.
Well, there are some conspiracies regarding MakerDAO.
Oh, please, not about conspiracies. No, not this time, please.
It's still a matter of belief. You still have some triggers how to leverage that ecosystem to your own benefits.
Okay, so anyway, I totally agree that it's a matter of belief. I totally agree with it. So I cannot prove or disprove these statements. But I believe that during the Odyssey 2020, if you want to build an ecosystem, one of the best ways to do that is to use tokens. I truly believe that. Maybe you will come up with very interesting idea how to use those tokens. I'm not going to talk about how to come up with this idea. I'm going to talk about tools, how you can use those tokens and how to create tokens and how to use those tokens. So in Waves, we have a very interesting approach that tokens are first-class citizens. So it means that it is really easy to create your own token, and by default, you should not even write a smart contract, for example, like in Ethereum. You just fill out the simple form, press a button, and you have your own token. But if you want to add some custom logics on top of it, then you can do that. Then you can add smart contract code on top of your token, and it will become a smart asset. We call it smart assets. So I will show you how to do that. We have a special library. This time I will show you in JavaScript because I think it's two most common languages during hackathons, Python and JavaScript. So I'll just use another language. This time it's a JavaScript. For example, we have a library called Waves Tokenization, and you just require this library. You say that you want to use this library, and then you can say, okay, let's initiate the instance of the library for the testnet in this case. And here is it. Here is the description of the token. I want to issue a token called Jedi token. Here is some picture for the token. Then I can add any fields I want, like any additional fields about this token. I want to say that I want to issue 100 tokens, and this is limited. I cannot issue more later. I can issue only 100 for now, and that's it. And actually, I just have to generate a transaction and send it to the blockchain. That's it. This is the easiest way how you can create a token. But this is just a token, right? Nothing about logic, nothing about rules, nothing about restrictions, how to use this token. And here we come with the Riot. Riot is a smart contracts language. Please raise your hand if you were on the previous talk in this room about DAML. Okay. They were trying, and they're doing actually almost the same thing, like a non-Turing complete language to specified like different rules for smart contracts. In our case, using Riot, it's a functional expression based language. You can define rules how your token will work. Like you can set different types of restrictions, for example. And I will talk about Riot a bit more because this is really formal verification friendly. It may not be so important during the hackathon, because your main goal is to build something during the hackathon, but later it would be very, very interesting for you, I guess, very interesting feature. And let me show you the code. That would be the best thing I can do today. For example, we say, this is Riot programming language. You can say, okay, we want smart contract for an asset, for a token, and I can try to set different rules for different kind of transactions. I will talk about different kind of transactions later also. I can say this token you can only transfer transaction, you can only transfer to this recipient. If recipient equals to this address, then it's okay. Otherwise, all other cases are prohibited. Is it clear enough? Like, this is very high level language. It's a kind of DSL also, domain specific language, to define all the restrictions for the token. We can add more rules. For example, we can say we can attach it when we call a DApp. Invoke script transaction allows you to call a DApp. We can attach it, but only if we call one specific DApp. Pretty simple, right? So it allows us to call only one decentralized application with this address. Or we can say we can only call this DApp and this function, claim function. Pretty simple. So we set the rules how the token will work. About different types of transactions. The main idea behind all these talks today is to share building blocks with you, right? And in Waves, we have building blocks as transactions. We have 16 types of transactions, and there are real building blocks. So you do not have like in Ethereum, I don't know, one type of transaction and you have to define in your code all the stuff it does. No, you have already pre-built, let's call it so, types of transactions. Like if you want to burn, there is a special transaction, that's a special function which allows you to burn. If you want to issue a token, then you have special type of transaction. So I'm not going to talk about all this stuff. I just wanted to show you that we used here two types of transactions: when we transfer token and when we transfer token and when we call a DApp. So I used two types, but you can set certain rules for different types of actions. It's pretty simple also. And a transaction is just like a JSON for you as a developer. You can work with a node through REST or gRPC APIs. So it's pretty simple also. Going back to our case, we had a situation where a recipient could say that I got this item, this good, but there was a damage. I can claim that there was a damage. So every item was an NFT, non-fungible token. So issuing an NFT is almost the same as issuing any other type of tokens. I showed you the JavaScript code. Do you remember how to issue a token? Issuing an NFT is pretty same. And he could say that this is an NFT attached to this real world good, and I can transfer this NFT to anybody. I can transfer this good to anybody else. And at that time, I can claim a damage. When I transfer it, I can claim a damage that somebody did something bad with it. And how to do that? Obviously, we have to use a smart contract, but decentralized applications for this time. Not smart assets, but yeah. Yeah, sure. How does the NFT have value? In our case, we said that for every piece of good, we attach a QR code with the ID of this NFT. That was a pretty simple and dumb solution, to be honest. Then we had an IoT device. No. We had an IoT device attached to a good, and that IoT device contains the NFT ID, so the ID for NFT, for this token. And it stores the data like this ID, NFT ID, with this temperature for this timestamp. It was storing all these types of data every second. Value added, like we always store in the blockchain that this good with this code, barcode or something like that, is this NFT ID. That was the pair. There was the pair always in the blockchain. So we can scan the barcode and say this is an NFT with this ID, vice versa. That was the main idea, how we attach NFT to the real. Yes, you can trade, you can do almost everything you want with it. Yeah. We didn't have a goal to calculate the value actually. Our main goal was to track this item. So we didn't want to calculate the value or something like that. So our main goal was to track, but on the legal side of this challenge, we had an idea how insurance companies, for example, they can try to evaluate every good and say the value of this is this number or something like that. But this is a bit out of scope. Well, to set certain rules how we can claim damages, we can use smart contracts, actually DApps, not only smart contracts. In this case, I show you a write code again, which allows you to call the function with NFT attached, and if everything is okay, then we will do 4 different types of results. Just to show you. We call a function on a DApp, attach there our NFT for our real world good, and we can store in the blockchain some data, as you can see. Can you follow me, guys? Or everything is very bad for now? I need your feedback again. Do you follow what I'm doing? Sorry? Non-fungible tokens. So every token is unique. It has its own unique identifier. Guys. Okay. At least one person follows. Then we can do different types with these NFTs. For example, we can store data on the blockchain. Wait. We can store data on the blockchain as a result of the invocation of calling the function. We can also transfer this NFT token. So we call it the app, attach that NFT, and depending on some rules, the app can transfer it to, for example, recipient, the NFT token. Then it can, for example, issue a new NFT. So we will have not only one NFT but two NFTs on the contract. Or it can also burn the NFT. So all these results you can also combine as a result of one function in the right. Is it clear enough? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, but yeah. So if you want to trade, but our main goal was not to allow to trade with this site. Our main goal was to allow to track. Okay, I totally understand that describing the right language for non-developers it's a bit hard. So I just want to note that the language is really simple. It allows you to write like very high-level code. There are no loops, for example. There are no loops at all. This is very like very expressive language. Let's call it so. And there is no guess at all. The code is much more readable than in almost all other languages because there are no loops, there are no recursions, there are no all this tech stuff, and the costs are predefined. Always we know the fee, and fees are really low. And for tech guys who care about it, ZK snarks are supported in the language. So if you want to have private data and just to validate that you own some data, that you can validate it using ZK snarks. So snarks are supported in the language. If you don't care, just never mind. And the last but not least, I really like this story about Riot, that we had a community manager. He was a community manager, not a developer, actually. And one day he came up with the idea of stablecoin. He said, well, there is a staking in Waves. We can do a stablecoin with staking. Why not? And he was traveling from St. Petersburg to Moscow. It usually takes 4 hours by train. And he wrote a smart contract, actually. He wrote a smart contract for stablecoin during these 4 hours. So I just wanted to show that the language is very high level and simple. So if you know just a bit about it, you can really write a smart contract in a very fast way. Well, I'm almost done. Yeah. Yes, it is still stable. There are more than around $2 million locked for this stablecoin. Yeah. So Neutrino. USD, no, that doesn't matter. Neutrino waves, you can Google it and you can find it. Well, I wanted to say about the tools a bit more. There are different libraries for many languages like JavaScript, Python, PHP, Java, many languages. And feel free to go to docswavesplatform.com. I will show you a bit later. And you will find there all the needed instructions, how to start with a language, how to start with the blockchain, how to start with all these building blocks. And also, if you think about building something related to the marketplace, for example, we have our own matching engine. We call it Matcher, which allows you to match different orders. So two buyers and sellers, they can put their orders in the order book. Matcher matches these two orders. For example, ask one and bid one, and it creates a transaction. It is atomic, so it is ready marketplace, let's call it so. You can use it for your marketplace, like in 10 minutes you can run your own matcher and it will work. Yeah, again, if you want to integrate with all these projects, feel free I will share my slides, definitely, so feel free to get more details about all these projects. For example, how to get fiat tokens into your app if you want to. And the last, about non-technical thing. Actually, we support all the teams during the hackathon. It means that there will be Jedis, they will help you with the tech stuff, but not only during the hackathon. We are ready to help you before the hackathon, and not only about tech things. We have we have many experts actually in different fields, like in supply chain, or I don't know, in majority of the blockchains even. They can help you. Here is a Telegram chat for developers, but even if you have a question about, not about development but about business side, you can also go there and you can ask your questions there. We will support the teams not only before and during the hackathon, but right after the hackathon also. So if we see that you build an interesting project, we can help you with funding, so we can invest in your company, for example, and we can support you in promoting your project. The only requirement, it should be built on Waves, of course. That's it. And here, I'm done. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer all of them.
I think it's not. No? Yes, it's working, finally. Yes.
There is an item market, for example. It allows you to. It is a marketplace for NFTs, and there I even can, I guess, show you. You can open item.market, item.market, and it allows you to trade with in-game items. Here. Yeah. There are 3 games. And you can trade with the NFT games on this marketplace, and these 3 games, they actually integrate NFTs in their game logic, let's call it so. So there are interesting cases of NFT. And not only this, there are we can talk about a bit later about another applications of NFT. Yeah, and also I wanted to show you that the documentation. You do not see it. I didn't. Wait. Sorry about that. Well, let me just move my browser. Yeah, here is item market. So you can, here are free games, so you can choose a game and you can trade with different in-game items. That's the first thing. The second thing, I wanted to show you documentation at docs.wavesplatform.com. That's a very good starting point. Also, you can go to our GitHub, github.com/wavesplatform. Also, you can even find here our Odyssey project, as far as I remember. Oh, wait. Odyssey project, you can find here, yes, Odyssey Wave Squad. You can try to understand what we did there. The lack of description, but there are lots of code. Also, if you want to play around with Ride, there is online ID at id.wavesplatform.com. And if you want to understand Ride better, there is a Ride introduction repository. You can also find in our GitHub. This is it will take you 30 or 40 minutes to read, and you will know all of the Ride. The language is really simple, 40 minutes and you know all about it. And also Node API, if you want to play around with the node, nodes.wavesplatform.com. It's public API for the nodes. Yeah, any other questions or any other?
We have time for one more.
Maybe there is a question, when will you get the beer or something like that? I cannot answer those questions, but maybe you had them. No? Everyone seems deadly tired, I even can say so. Okay, thank you very much for coming.